Anti-racism for me has always meant organising. So trying to bring as many people as possible and as many organisations together as possible around one central aim, which is to counter racism. The second most important thing, I think, is education. Racism is a poison which poisons people's minds. So you have to develop an education, workshops, propaganda, education sessions where you are educating people about the history of racism, why racism was developed, and to be able to develop a respect for people of different cultures and backgrounds and engender solidarity with people who are suffering discrimination and racism. The other thing would be that we should celebrate, in a city like Birmingham, we should celebrate the contributions of different cultures and the people who have come here to build this city. And I think it's really important that we do that, because we're living in a city where all these different people from all over the world have come, and they have built this city and enriched our lives. Well, I think to begin with, when I was a teenager, Enoch Powell was giving his speeches about the rivers of blood, and this for me was awful, and I had my first huge argument with my parents over this, which had a big impact on me. And then subsequently I went to study at Birmingham University. I went to study German, and in the second year we were studying Nazism, and I went one day to the stacks of the university library, which is where they keep obscure materials, and I found these awful eyewitness accounts of the killing and massacring by Nazi soldiers. They were describing themselves the mass murder of so many people, and I'm going that had a huge impact on me, and so from that point I had done everything I can to counter the poison that leads to this murder of other human beings. Okay. Then subsequently, after university, I became politically active with trade unions, and then with the anti-racist movement, and I was in Birmingham, and so I became secretary of Birmingham CARF, which is, well, what's the campaign against racism and fascism in Birmingham. And we organised, as I described before, with as many local organisations and people as possible to counter the racism that was coming from the National Front at that time, and other scumbags. So we worked together with Birmingham TUC and the Afro-Caribbean Association and the Indian Workers Association, the Bangladeshi Workers Association. I've probably forgotten some others, but a broad front, and there were some churches involved as well, and mosques. So we organised to counter the activities of the National Front, and we worked then with the ANL, the Anti-Nazi League, which had a fantastic, huge impact, especially on young people, through their wonderful music events, Love Music, Hate Racism. And I think this is something that we really need today, to involve more and more people to counter the racism that is unfortunately growing everywhere. I think an anti-racist city would be one that would clamp down on racism within the city. So recently, in 2025, we had racist organisations who were allowed to rally in the city centre with all their flags. It was absolutely disgusting, and the city council said that they would not allow it, and then they came in and took over Victoria Square. So for me, an anti-racist city has to come from the top. So the policies and the actions of the city are to stop racism in all its forms. First of all, by stopping such demonstrations of racism, but then through ensuring that that there is continued education throughout the city, all the different means possible, through youth organisations, through schools, through cultural events, through sporting events, in every way possible, that the anti-racist message should come across, and that respect for people of other backgrounds and cultures should be a core part of the work of the city. The other aspect which is always ignored is that in a racist society you have institutional racism, so different parts of the population suffer discrimination in all walks of life. So they suffer discrimination in school, in education, they suffer it in employment, they don't get good jobs, they suffer in pay. It's not overt always, it's just part of the structures of the society and the city. And so an anti-racist city would have devised means to uncover this discrimination and to stop it and to compensate those people who have suffered from it. So my anti-racist heroes or sheroes are Blair Peach, who many people may have not heard about, but he was an anti-racist teacher who was killed by the police on a march in London against the NF. So he was really someone to remember. Claudia Jones, who came to this country and set up Notting Hill Carnival. She was a communist. She's buried in Highgate Cemetery. She's been a great inspiration for me. CLR James and Maurice Ludmer, the other organisation we work with in CARF was Searchlight, which was a research organisation into the fascists. And he dedicated his life to searching out fascists. He with the army, had liberated Belsen concentration camp after the Second World War, and then with others determined that he was going to spend the rest of his life rooting out fascists, and he did that. And Searchlight magazine was a research organisation, and it's still going, trying to uncover what these nasty people are doing. Aftar Singh Johal was the General Secretary of the Indian Workers Association, and he was a tireless organiser, lovely man. Diane Abbott has my full respect as the first black woman in Parliament, and she's had to put up with years and years of vicious racism. So, and she keeps going, which I really respect. Jeremy Corbyn, for despite all the rubbish they throw at him, he's stuck with it, and he's been anti-racist to his core. And my partner, Paul Mackney.
Beyond racism, racism and beyond. Anti-racism has to be the norm. Let's build a city where everyone belongs. Beyond racism, racism and beyond. Anti-racism has to be the norm. A world of understanding, that's what we crave. From every corner, every land, a tapestry woven by every hand. Harmonious call, we rise and stand.